Yeah, I'm working the phones. So I'm trying to get guests for us.
Thank you.
One thing I'm already kind of like, I would say this. When we talk about like what A&M needs and what Elko is going to bring to the table, I feel like there's going to be a lot of people that, I don't know, in the media that felt like kicked around or, oh my gosh, like, Jimbo and I didn't always see eye to eye, that contrary to what people think. But I don't think it has to be a situation where everyone's like lining up now to like, they did it to some, to like every coach, Sherman, even who's like the nicest guy ever. They line up to kick you when you're going out the door, but they wouldn't stand there and kick at you when you were sitting there.
Right.
And don't be like that. Like, I do think, A&M needs structure. I think they're in need of a culture change. I think a fresh start with the discipline. I think Texas A&M in any sport needs all of those things. I think like what Buzz Williams has brought to the basketball court, what Slosh has brought to the diamond, like A&M, I feel like there's got to be a level of like toughness and just want to, and like really like we just want to see our guys love playing ball.
Right. And
we see that this team won me over this year with how hard they played. They just made so many mistakes, and there was a lack of like on-field discipline at times that killed them, with the penalties and the special teams blunders. And, a year ago, it was a lot of drops. It's just like things like that. And to me, those things are borne out. And it's not like Jimbo was coaching them to do that. But what's happening is over time, things just you kind of lose your grip on some things. And some things become just kind of, without anyone realizing it, they become acceptable. Yeah. So if I'm Mike Elko, I'm walking in here and he's, the good thing about him is he knows that. He knows he had to have been sitting there, and he's not the type to say anything, but he's sitting there for 4 years going, man, I don't like seeing that. Or I would maybe do this. It's human nature. Like in your head, I would do this differently. I would do that differently. So I think that's a great advantage for him coming in because he knows the good, but he also knows the bad.
Right.
But he does know the good. So there's like a mesh point and a vantage point there that he'll have that other coaches wouldn't have had. There's going to be a period of transition for him sitting in this new chair. Hell, he's walking over here today. He's probably doing it right now, touring facilities he's never seen here. Because he didn't sneak in and see this stuff, okay? Right. So he's been coaching at Duke. He hadn't toured. Today is literally the first time. So this is a familiar place, and he's going to walk around and go, damn, like, are you kidding me? Because it is, if you've walked around in those things and like the walkthrough rooms and the indoor, he's going to be blown away, which is funny because he was here 2 years ago, and he's going to be like, this is a different place. But he also knows a lot about the roster. He knows damn well about the culture better than anyone else that could have come in here. So he knows what he needs to fix. And I think discipline, and I don't think it's like, these guys played hard this year.
Yeah, they did.
I watched them come back from, I watched them come back from 14-0 at Ole Miss and almost win it. I watched them battle back. I watched them go into LSU playing hard for Elijah and leading that game almost through 3 quarters. I watched them, fight to the end against Tennessee and Bama when things were just not going well for them. We watched them bounce back from that disappointment in Miami. They fought, they played hard, but I think where Elko and this new staff can really change things are like that day-to-day mindset. Like every day when you walk around, like class attendance, weight room attendance, the expectation level of all, like you're banged up, practice, man. Like if all the trainers say you're healthy and you like practice, don't just sit till Thursday and then try to play. Like things like that, I think he can come in and that's a culture change. And that is a Sunday to Saturday thing. That's not a Saturday thing. That's all week. That's an off-season thing. So I think that's the single biggest challenge in front of him, because he's going to easily be able to go put together a staff that he feels great about. He's going to bring guys from Duke. He's going to keep Elijah, and I'm not acting like. By the way, Elijah's going to have options, but I think he fully intends to stay, and I know Elko fully intends to keep him. I think Elijah's going to get taken care of in the form of whatever his role is going to be, even expanding more. I haven't heard no word yet on the DC situation. He might be that. There's also going to be a raise. I've got it on pretty good authority that they value that dude more than any assistant coach I've seen at A&M. Texas A&M does, Mike Elko does, the players do. It's been a joy to watch. But he's going to, and then keep the guys from Duke that you love the most, or he probably loves all of them, but the guys that you think are going to give you the best chance to win, you keep them. If he keeps anybody else here, that's what he's going to have to determine over the next few weeks. And then go with resources that you didn't have at Duke, and with resources that probably A&M's got a little more of now that they hired him versus, say, this $10, $12 million a year guy, much less even someone like Stoops that was going to cost you, I believe, around $8. I think he had agreed to come for less money, but a lot of different incentives. It was going to essentially cost you probably $9 million a year. There's extra money to me if Elko wants to really go hire a coordinator.
Right.
Now, his offensive coordinator at Duke's pretty damn good and respected. So we'll see. But he gets to build his dream staff. He's got players. He's going to have NIL at his disposal. He's got facilities. To me, the most difficult but very attainable task, because I know the type guy he is, the type leader he is, and the type of person, and what he understands is important. He'll do it, but the hardest part will be changing a culture and getting it changed really quickly. And I don't mean I think the culture got a lot better from last year to this year. I think if a coach would have come in after last season, it would have been almost in shambles. Yeah. They did a better job, but there's just certain things like that day-to-day that over 6 years, and when you're not winning enough, it happens to any coach. It's not just Jimbo. It's not because Jimbo I think ultimately, he didn't make it because, you're a one-guy show. And A&M made it that way. The A&M signed off on that agreement when they hired him. That was part of their pitch. And Woodward, pitched it to him. It was, you're not going to get told no on anything. You're going to get everything you need to be successful. And I think that's great, but that was almost to a fault as time went on. He essentially hired the AD in Ross Bjork. Yep. That's not a great working fit, but they let him. They said, "Yeah, sure, let's do that," because Woodward left so suddenly, and everybody was nervous. Like, okay, we got to keep Jimbo happy. That was just that. That was the whole thing. It wasn't just Jimbo. That was just the way things went. We got to keep Jimbo happy. He just lost his AD. We're a couple years into this. We can't lose him. Okay, we'll let him hire the AD. Him and Jimmy Sexton go. And so it was a disservice to Ross. It was a disservice to Jimbo. But nobody thought that at the time. Sure. It was more like football, national championship coach, going in the right direction and fast. Let's go. Let's put the pedal. They told athletics, hey, they told the coaches of every other sport, we're going all in on winning a national championship for football, and other sports had to get cut. Not sports cut, but their money's cut, right. Their finances cut, so football could make this push for a national title. I don't think that's going to be the case anymore. I don't think Mike Elko expects that to be the case. He's going to have more at his disposal than he ever had. They're still going to have more at their disposal than virtually any program in the country. But I just don't think it's going to be the emperor situation that A&M and Jimbo and at the time Woodward and then Ross and everybody here kind of agreed to. And I think that ultimately hurt. And I don't think it's the way it can be. And you have to learn lessons from that. And that's not who Mike Elko is. So unless they're not going to create an environment that's conducive to that. And I think knowing Elko, it'd be actually the last thing he'd want. So this will be a unique, different look. And I think the other thing that's going to be really different, Nuno, is the structure of it all.
Right.
Like player personnel and how they handle the portal, how they handle NIL, roster management day to day, and like the infrastructure that he's going to create around that kind of stuff is going to be pretty exciting, pretty interesting. And I'll tell you this, and I will say this is going to sound bad, but it's just true. I don't think you'll see them traveling on Thursdays anymore.
Yeah.
And I think they'll hire a recruiting coordinator and a high school relations guy, which it's just still shocking to me that as we sit here today, those two positions are not filled at Texas A&M.